Finally, it's time for kitchen modeling. I know how much you guys are interested on this type of topics, so here we are with a fully parametric kitchen modeling. This tutorial is going to be a little longer than usual, and that is because I'm going to share a lot of technical details, and this tutorial is somehow in BIM level. So grab some snacks and something to drink, and let's start. We're going to start with creating walls, floor, and roof. So go to architecture and select a wall, a basic wall, maybe this one, and start creating. I'm going to create 1 meter wall in this part, 4 meter in this side, and 6 or 5 meter on here. Okay, now go to one of the elevations, maybe this north elevation, and in here I'm going to set the second level on 2.6. Then let's go back and select all of these walls and change the top constraint and put it on the second level. I'm going to go to architecture again, and in this part I'm going to create the floor exactly from this point to here and hit finish. Let's go to 3D and see how it looks. Perfect. I'm going to hide these levels, so press VV in annotation category, press L again, and in this part just simply uncheck these levels. For roof, let's go to first level and use this roof by footprint, of course in the second level, and then I'm going to just simply use pick line in this part, in here, and also in this part. I'm going to create another one in here, and then I will set offset of 1 meter, and I'm going to create another line in this part and maybe another line in here so we can close this part. I'm going to trim all of these parts together like this, and then select all of these lines, uncheck this define slope because I want a flat roof, and then hit finish. Now if we go to 3D view, this is going to be our roof, but the thickness is too much, so I'm going to select it, and in edit type I'm going to change this thickness to, let's say, 30 centimeter, and okay, switch the view to consistent color so we can see some colors in here, but not this color, of course. I'm going to select it, and in edit type in here I'm going to change the color of this material. It's default roof, so I'm going to find it, and in the graphic section I'm going to simply change this color and put it on something like this, and okay, this is much better. Now for those curtain walls, I'm going to go to first level again, and we are going to go to wall section, and in this part we need to select this curtain wall, the first one, select it, and just simply create one in the center of this part to here, and okay. Let's go to 3D view. This is too much. Select it again and put it on the second level. Okay. Before working on this curtain wall and adding mullions and grid lines, I want to create the other side, and then we can work on both of them together. So let's go to first level and then go to roof by footprint. In the second level, switch this basic roof to this sloped glazing, and then with these rectangles I'm going to create a rectangle in this part. Select all of these lines, and then first uncheck this defined slope, and then this part is correct, but for this part we need to have 1 meter offset with this wall. Hit finish, and let's go to 3D view. The gap in here is too much, so let's go back to edit sketch and just simply align this part with here, maybe lock it, and also to be sure, let's lock this part with this line too. Also for this part we probably need to change this again, but for now I'm going to set it in here. To add grids, we need to go to architecture tab, and it's this one. I'm going to select it and create 4 grids in both of these parts, and then we are going to set the distance between them. Select one of the grids and change it from here. I'm going to set it on 125. For this one again 125, and for this part 125. Repeat it for the grids on the roof again. So select grids and just change the number. This one, and the last one. To add mullions, we have this option in here. Click on this part, and then I'm going to use this all grid lines. So if you click on one of the curtain walls, all of the grids will have this type of mullion that you are going to set. Right now it is set on rectangle, but I'm going to switch to this square, but I need to change this size because it's like 3 centimeter. Go to edit type, duplicate, and put it on maybe 60, like this. Okay, and change this number for each side. So since it is 60, I'm going to set this part on 30 and also this part on 30. It's like 3 centimeter. And before I apply and click, I also want to change this material. So click on here and create a new material for the mullions. Rename it. Let's go with mullion. And for this part, I'm going to select it and make it a little bit darker. I want it to be like black, fully black, but I'm going to create some shades of black so we can see it better in Revit. Okay, and okay. Now if you click on this roof, you will have all of the mullions on this curtain wall and also on this one. Let's also set them next to each other because I don't like this gap in this part. So let's go to east, for example, and in this part I'm going to move this curtain wall up. Make sure to select the curtain wall itself, not panel, not mullion, because that way the curtain wall won't move. Select the curtain wall, you should see this blue highlight, and then move it. And for this part you just need to like drag it like this. Let me turn this thin line off so we can see everything, and also I want to put this on consistent color. Well, this doesn't look correct, so to fix that you need to select the panel because it's outside the mullion and curtain wall. Select it, go to edit type and put this offset on 0, and for its thickness I want to put it on only 1 centimeter. And for the material I also want to give it a dark shade, black shade. Right now it has a blue shade. I don't want it to be like that, so I'm going to give it a color like this and something like this. And okay, it's correct, it is inside these mullions, but the thickness of these mullions are not enough, so I'm going to change the thickness and let's put it on 5 for now. Much better. And okay, if you want to attach these two parts together, you need to like delete one of these mullions. I'm going to delete these parts. Usually if both of the curtain walls that you want to connect together are from like walls, because this is a wall curtain wall and this one is for roof, so we can't use any other type of mullion to connect them together. Select this part, go to edit footprint, and then simply attach this part, align it with this line and hit finish. Go to east elevation, we can move it down and set it exactly where we want. Perfect. This was the first step and now it is complete. Let's go to the second part. This part is all about the parametric families. So we're going to probably model 7 or 8 families, but you just need to pay attention only to the first one because I'm going to explain everything fully on that part, and then we're going to modify it and change it for the other parts. We're not going to like create them from the beginning. I'm going to just share some techniques and details and how you can like change them or modify them to create exactly what you need. And before I forget, I'm going to put a link in description for downloading these families and also this scene and some other scenes that I have created before on this channel. So if you want, go check that link. Now go to File, create a new family in the generic model floor based, this one. Okay, set the unit, press UN and change the unit, change the rounding, okay, and okay. As always, we will start with creating reference planes. I'm going to create my family in this part because I want it to be changed from this side and also from this part, and I want to control it exactly from this point, and that is why I'm not going to create it exactly in the center. So I'm going to create my first reference plane in here and the other one in this part, a dimension for its width and another one for the depth. Select this one, go to this part and give it a name. Let's go with just simply D for depth, and again for this one let's go with W for its width. Okay, let's go to front view, and in this part again we are going to create some other reference plane. We need one in this part, another one in here, and another one in this part. Now let's create some dimensions for these reference planes. I'm going to create one for this part, another one for here for the gap in the base part, and the last one for here for the thickness of the top board. So select this one, go to this create parametric, give it a name. Let's go with simply H. Okay, for this part I'm going to go with just simply thickness because we are not going to have thickness for the cabinet, so I'm going to just simply call it thickness. For this part I don't want to create any parameter because I'm going to use a fixed dimension for this, so I'm going to change this size to 10 centimeter, and then I'm going to select it and lock it so we always have this part in here. Now let's go back to ref level and start creating the cabinet. So in here I'm going to go to create and I will use this extrusion. Then with this rectangle I'm going to create a rectangle on all of these lines, and then I'm going to lock all of them. We need another rectangle inside this part, so I'm going to create one with 2 centimeter offset, and I'm going to create it exactly on this part. Then you just need to press space and put it inside the rectangle. I don't want this part to be closed. I'm going to add another part on top of it, so I'm going to just trim them together like this, and this part with here like this, then align them together and make sure that you are locking them like this, and we can hit finish. Let's go to front view, and now I'm going to align them again for their height between this part with here, lock it, and this part with here, again lock it. For the front side, for the face of the cabinet, I'm going to go to create again, and we are going to use another extrusion. I'm going to use this rectangle, and we are going to create a rectangle exactly on these reference planes from this point to here. Make sure to lock all of them, and then we are going to create another rectangle with 3 centimeter offset. So select this rectangle again and give a 3 centimeter offset and create it again on all of these lines. Press space to put it inside this rectangle, and then that's all. Hit finish and let's go to ref level. Now we want it to be outside of this depth, so we need to create some other reference plane because we want it to be locked and we don't want it to move. So I'm going to create another reference plane in here. Make sure to lock it, give it a thickness. I want this part to be again 2 centimeter, and then if I want to lock it, you just need to select the dimension and lock this part in here. Then we need to align this part with here and this part with here. Let's go to 3D view to see how it looks. For the door, we need to go to front view again. So if you go to create, you can create another extrusion, and we're going to create it exactly like this one, but this time we're going to create like 5 millimeter gap for each side. Select the rectangle and create a rectangle with like 5 millimeter gap from each part of these reference planes. Put it inside. Before I hit finish, for the top part, I want to make this gap a little bit more because that part is for like a handle. I'm going to show you what I mean in a few seconds, but for now I'm going to just make this gap a little bit bigger, maybe 1 or 2 centimeter. Now we can hit finish and let's go to the ref level again. I'm going to move it to this part and we are going to create another reference plane for this door. So I'm going to change the name of this reference plane to door because we might need it later. And then I'm going to lock this distance again on 2 centimeter. Make sure it is exactly on 2 centimeters. Select it and check this dimension in here, put it on 2 and then you can lock it. Then we are going to align this part with here, lock it, and this part with here, lock it again. For the handle, there are a lot of different types that we can use, but I don't really like them, especially for kitchen. So I'm going to show you a new way that you can use on your cabinet. It will look really good. I really like it. So for that we need to go to left or right view. Let's go to right view for now, and it is in this part. This is the door, this is the face of the cabinet. So we are going to create some extrusion in this part, the void extrusion, and we are going to cut this part and we will use it as a handle. So for that you just need to go to create and use a void extrusion. I'm going to create it in this part. So from this point exactly I'm going to create a 3 millimeter offset like this to here and to this part and then to here, and then just simply close it like this, trim this part and then delete this and hit finish. Now if we go to this 3D view, we can set it on minus 25 centimeter and it will be always inside this part. You don't need to change it. If you can see it is cut, it's because you need to do it manually because it was on the other side. So if you want it to be cut, you just need to use this cut tool and create something like this. I think now it's time for creating the top board. So let's go to left view, and then in this part first I need to create a reference plane in here, and let's fix it on a number from this part to here. Let's go with again 2 or 3 centimeter. I think will be enough, and then simply lock it. Now I'm going to go to create and we are going to use another extrusion exactly from this part to here. Now I'm going to use this start and radius, and I'm going to create something from this part to here, then to this part, and then we can align this reference plane with this corner and also with this part, and then simply lock it. Now you can hit finish and we need to go to ref level again. So it is in this part. We need to lock it between these two parts of the width dimension because we want all of these parts to move together. So we need to align this reference plane with this side and this one with here and lock them. Let's go to 3D view, and this is how it looks until now. Let's check the parameters that we just created. For the depth, let's put it on 50 centimeter. Apply, working perfectly. For the height, let's put it on 90 centimeter. Okay, perfect. For the thickness, I'm going to put it on 3 centimeter. Apply, perfect. And then for the width, let's put it on 60 and apply. You see that it changed from one side, and this is really good. Everything is working perfectly, and now it's time for the base of the cabinet. We need to go to ref level, and first again we are going to create another reference plane in this part. The height of that gap was 10 centimeter. We are going to set this part again on 10 centimeter, or maybe less than that. 8 centimeter will be good as well. Let's just go with 8 centimeter and then lock it. Now I'm going to go to create, and we're going to create an extrusion exactly on these parts. Make sure to lock all of them, and another one for the insider loop with 2 centimeter offset. Make sure it is inside and then hit finish. Let's go to front view because in this part we can see it much better. And then in here we are going to set it on 8 centimeter for its height. We are going to do it manually. I'm not going to use any other thing because this part is going to be fixed. We are not going to change it, never, for this kitchen of course. So for that we can set it from this part extrusion, and I'm going to put it on 8 centimeter. The last part that we're going to create for this cabinet is for this part. If I change this to consistent color, you can see the gap in this part, and that is for the base of this cabinet. So let's go to ref level, and to create section with extrusion, I'm going to create one from this part to here. So this is the door, this part is the door, this is the face, and this is the cabinet itself. I'm going to create it to this part, and then I'm going to lock all of them to the reference planes. Again, we can hit finish, and in the front view we can set it exactly between these two parts. So I'm going to use this align for this part to here, and then if we go to wireframe, we can set the base of this part to here, or we can just simply use these lines, these extrusion end and extrusion start in this part. So it starts from 8 centimeter to 10 centimeter, and it is going to be always stay in this part. So now if we go to 3D view, this is the cabinet that we just created. It is fully parametric, and we can change anything we want. We can change all of the sizes and all of the dimensions. I also want to add another parameter for the top board, and it's for its visibility. So if you want to hide this top board in the main project, you can do this. Select the top board, and from this part you can create a parameter for it. Let's go with just visibility. Make it instance if you want, and okay and okay. Now if you uncheck this in the project, you can simply hide this top board and create another one that you want. Finally, we can save this family. Go to file and save this family, give it a name. Let's go with the base cabinet. Change these options and put the backups on any number that you want. I'm going to put it on 1 and save it. Now we can load it into the project, and we can put it in this part for now. We can go to the 3D view and set this cabinet in here all over the kitchen, but I prefer to add the other base cabinet, floor base families, and then set all of them together, because otherwise it will be a lot of redo and we don't want that. So let's go back to the family that we just created. As I said, we are not going to create the other families from the beginning, but we are going to change some parts. So the next cabinet that we are going to create is the tall cabinets, and for that, first of all, we don't need this top board, so I'm going to delete it. And also we don't need this handle to be in here, and I'm going to delete that too. But instead of the top board, we need some boards on top of the cabinet, right? So for that, we can go to this front view, and in this part we can change this thickness to only 2 centimeters. So let's go to this family type, and in here I'm going to change the thickness to 2 and okay. And then we can go to create again, create extrusion with this rectangle exactly in this part. Lock all of them exactly like this and hit finish. Let's go to ref level, and then we are going to lock it exactly from this part. Lock the back side in here, and the top part with this face with this reference plane. And if we go to 3D view, we have something like this. So I'm going to join this part with this one too. Now it is much clear. So for the door in here, I don't want to see this gap in this part. I want it to be on the other side. So we can go to the front view, and in here I can like put it back on exactly 5 mm like this, and then we can create the gap from this part. So I want this part to be maybe 1 to 2 centimeter. Let's go with 15 mm for now. Okay, and hit finish. So since this is a tall cabinet, I want to change this part because I want to set the handle between it. We can do it with this 90 centimeter height, but I want it to be on that size so we can see it much better. So I'm going to put it on 2 point, let's say 3, and apply. First of all, we can see that it's working perfectly. So with a few changes, we turned it into this type of cabinet. And now for the handle, because I want it to be exactly like this, I don't want to change anything for this one. For the handle, I'm going to create a reference plane in the center, and then I'm going to lock it between this part and in here. So make it equal, and then it will be always there. So it doesn't matter if you change this height. Let's go with only 2 meter, apply. Again, it will be exactly in the center. Okay, now how we are going to control the handle. I don't want to like give a parameter to it because I want it to be a fixed distance. So I'm going to create another reference plane, and I'm going to lock this distance between this second reference plane and this one, so we can lock the handle between these two parts. I'm going to create a dimension in here, and the size of the handle I want for this part is let's go with 25 centimeter. And now that I set the dimension, I can just simply lock it. And again, if we change this part, if we change the height to, let's go with 2.4, this distance, this part and this part is going to be exactly the same, so they are going to be equal. And then this part again will be exactly on 25 centimeters. So now if we go to this ref level in this part, and in here we are going to create the reference plane in this part, because the gap in this part is a little bit too much. It's 15 millimeter, and in this part it is only 5 millimeter, as you can see. In this part again we are going to create the void extrusion, and I'm going to create it from this part to here 3 millimeter, and then to this part to here, and then to here, and then just simply close this extrusion, trim it like this, and delete this one. Hit finish, and let's go to this front view. Now it is in this part, and I want it to be exactly in between these two lines. So I'm going to lock it with here and the base with this part. Now if we go to this 3D view, we can see it exactly in this part. Let's check it one more time. Put it on 2.1. Okay, and apply. Perfect. Before loading it into your project, make sure to save it with another name. So let's go with tall cap for this one. Save it, and then you can load it into the project. What if we want to add a place for microwave for this tall cap? For that, we can again create a very minor changes to this part, and we can use it as a fully parametric new family. So let's go to front view, and let's just delete this door first, and also this handle. We are not going to use it for now. Let's go to front view, and this time I'm going to change these reference planes and dimensions in this part. If we want to create a microwave place in the center of this part, we need to create reference plane to control the base cabinet and for controlling the placement of the microwave. So for that, we are going to create a reference plane in this part and another one in here. I'm going to create a dimension for this part and also for here. So this one is going to be the base cap, and this one is going to be for the placement of the microwave. So let's just call it micro. Okay, Go to 3D view to select this part, this face of the cabinet, and then we can go back to the front view. Go to extrusion, and then we are going to cut these parts for adding this wood for these parts too. So I'm going to use this offset with like 2 centimeter for both of these sides, for here, and also for these parts. Cut this part, split these lines like this, and then trim them together and hit finish. Now it's time for adding doors for this top part and for the base part. So for that we are going to go to create, and we are going to use extrusion. With this rectangle I'm going to create offset of 5 millimeter from this part exactly to here. Make sure it is inside with pressing the space, and I'm going to create another one exactly from this part to here like this, and we can hit finish. To set it between other reference planes, we need to go to ref level, and we can see it in this part. So I'm going to align this part with here, and since I can see the back, I'm going to move it to this part and then simply align it with this line. If we go to 3D view, we can see it perfectly in this part. For the handles, I want to put them in this part and also for here, and since we have enough space in these two parts, I didn't create any extra gap for the base or top of these parts. So for that we are going to go to left view, and in this part we can go to this part. This is the door, this is the face. We need to go to create a void extrusion, and with the same number. So 3 millimeter line in this part to here, and then up to this part. Another line in this part, and then just simply trim them. Delete this line, hit finish. We can go to 3D view, and we can set it on minus 25 centimeter, and it will be always in this part. Cut it like this, and exactly like this you can create it for the top door too. Inside of this tall cabinet is empty, as you can see in here. So we need to create some boards for this part, and also some boards for the top of this microwave place, so we can use this cabinet and also this one. For that we are going to go to the ref level, and in this part we are going to create an extrusion exactly inside this part, so you can also lock it with all of those lines. Okay, hit finish, and let's go to the front view. And in this part, if you want to put it exactly in here and you want to fix it, we are going to create another reference plane in this part. Then we are going to create a dimension for that, and we need to lock this distance. So select this line, make sure it is exactly on the reference planes that you want, and set it on 2 centimeter, and then simply lock this line, this dimension between these two reference planes. And now if you put this part in here and then align and lock them, if you change this base cap, let's just test it to, let's say, 90 centimeter, it will work perfectly. And also for the micro, it again works perfectly. So we need to repeat it for the top part too. Create another one inside it, create a dimension, make sure it is set on exactly 2 centimeter, lock it, and then copy this one on itself with this part, copy it on itself, and then move it up to here, and then simply align it between this reference plane and also this part. Save it and load it into the project. Now we can set all of these cabinets next to each other. Go to 3D view, and in here I am going to hide this part, and also this roof for now. Hide them in elements so we can see all of these parts better. Let's go to this top view, and in this part I am going to rotate this one and I'm going to set it exactly in here. So for the sizes of these cabinets, let's just check them first. I am going to go to edit type. For the depth of this cabinet, I want to set it on maybe 65 to 70 centimeter. I'm going to go with 65 and let's check it. Perfect. For the height, I'm going to set it exactly on 2.6 and apply. Correct. For the thickness, I'm not going to change anything because this thickness was for the top board, and then for the width I'm going to put it on, let's go with 75 centimeter and apply. Again, we need to change the placement of this to exactly this corner, and then I'm going to mirror it for this part too. Okay, the width I think is a little bit too much, so we can change it if we want. And next to it we will have this tall cabinet in here with microwave placement, so we can go to edit type. For the depth I'm going to go with again 65 centimeter, for the height with 2.6. for the micro placement and for the base gap we are not going to change it for now, but for the width I am going to go with 60 centimeter. I think it's good. And okay, now before I place it exactly where I want, I'm going to just simply change the width of these two parts to 65. I think this size is going to be much better. So now I'm going to go to the first level, select them, move them exactly to this corner, and then I'm going to move this one exactly from this point to here. I want two of these for this part too, so I'm going to select them, and in the first level I can copy them to here. Let's rotate them like this, and then we can put it exactly in this part. For this base cabinet, for the first cabinet that we just created, let's go to 3D view, select it and go to edit type. For its depth I want it to be a little bit less than the width of these parts, the depth of these tall cabinets, because I want this top board to be inside of those parts. I don't want to see any edges on the kitchen, so I'm going to set it on, let's say 60 centimeter for its depth. For the height I think 90 is good. For the thickness of the top board 3 centimeter is enough, however we are going to like probably hide it. And for the width let's go with 50 centimeter for now. Okay, this is good. Let's go to first level. I'm going to put it in this part. Let's first fix this corner. Honestly, I'm not going to create a corner for this part because I want to create another separate video and explain everything about these corner cabinets fully, and if I explain it right now it will take a lot of time. So for now we are going to create just a simple box for that part. I'm going to set them exactly next to each other, and now that we have these parts fixed we can change the size of this part and also this part. So let's go with this array. I'm going to create probably 3 of these cabinets for this part. Let's go with something like this, 3. The size is a little bit too much, so let's just change the width of these cabinets. I'm going to go to edit type, and in this part let's go with simply 47 and hit finish. Move this part, align this part with here. I think it is fit. For this part I'm going to make it a little bit more than this, so let's go to first level, and for this part let's go with array again from this corner to here, and let's just create like 7. And then if we select one of them and go to its edit group, select it again, go to edit type. For this part let's go with 60, apply, and okay. Now I just need to align this part. This is the first cabinet. I'm going to align this part with this part, and then all of them will be set exactly next to each other. I'm going to delete the last one. I'm going to set them on 6 number for these cabinets, and then I can go to edit group again. In this part I can make them a little bit bigger, maybe 63 centimeter. Okay, let's see how it will look. Right now we can move the second one like this, and I think it's much better. You just need to repeat it until you set them exactly next to each other, exactly how you want them. And for this corner, as I said, we are going to use just simply a box. So in the architecture, we are going to go to the component section, and we are going to use this model in place. I'm going to use this generic model, and with this extrusion I'm going to create a very simple box in here for this part, and then I'm going to create a fillet in this corner like this, and we can hit finish. Let's go to 3D view and move it up to here. I want to exactly set it under this top board because I'm going to somehow we are going to hide these top boards. And for the base I'm going to move it up to here, and okay, it is in its place. It looks good. I probably need to fix this part too. I could add cabinets with drawers for this part, for between these parts, or we could change the size of these, but drawers will take a little bit time. But if you want to learn how you can create them parametrically for your kitchen, let me know, and I'm going to create a video for that too. So work on these parts and set them exactly how you want, and then we can go to the upper cabinets. This family is going to be a wall-based family. It's exactly like the first one, but with a little bit difference. So go to File and create a new family in generic model wall-based. This one. Go to placement side, and in this part we are going to start with creating reference plane. It doesn't matter where you're going to create it from the height, but you should create it on one side of this reference line. So I'm going to create it in here, and 2 other reference planes in this part. I'm going to create a dimension for here and another one for this part. This is going to be the height. Okay, and this one is going to be the width. Perfect. Go back to ref level, and in this part I'm going to create a reference plane in this part and another dimension from this part to here, exactly to the edge of the wall. Make sure the node that is shown on this part is called is reference plane, and then click. I'm going to put it in this part, select it, create a parameter for it, and let's call it D as depth. Now we can go back to placement side, and in this part we are going to create a extrusion with this rectangle exactly on these lines. Lock all of them, and then create another one with 2 centimeter offset exactly on these lines, but inside, and then you can hit finish. In the ref level you can set it exactly where you want. Since the height of the extrusion that we created is about the view range, we can see it in this part. So to fix that, we can go to ref level and we can go to placement side, and in this part we can create a section. I'm going to create a detail view exactly in this part, turn it to this side, and then if we go back to that view we can see it in here. So this is the extrusion that we just created. I'm going to move it to this part, and then I'm going to align it with this line and also align it with this reference plane in here. Lock it, and we can go back to placement side. In here we can create a back for the back of this cabinet. So select it, copy it exactly on the same place, go to its extrusion and then delete the outer rectangle and hit finish. Now if we go to ref level or this detail view, we can set it exactly on -2 centimeter, and it will be exactly in this part. So if we put this on wireframe, we can see that this back of this cabinet is exactly in here. If we go to 3D view, we can see it like this. Now let's go to placement side again, and this time we are going to create the face of the cabinet. So in create extrusion, create a rectangle exactly on these parts, and then lock all of them, of course. Then create another one with 3 centimeter offset exactly on the same lines, and make sure that it is inside this rectangle. Now you can hit finish. Let's go to this detail view. This face is going to be set on the front side of this cabinet, so I'm going to create a reference plane in this part, and let's create a dimension for that. Set it on 2 centimeter. Okay, lock it and then align it with these two lines, with this one and with this one. And now it's time for creating the door. For that, we are going to go back to placement side. Most of the things are going to be done in this view. So go to create extrusion with this rectangle with again 5 millimeter offset exactly on these parts, and make sure that it is inside. Now before I hit finish, about the offset that we usually create for the handle, this time I want to create it on the base on the bottom side of this cabinet. So in this part, I'm going to set this gap on, let's say, 1 or 2 centimeter or 15 millimeter, and I think it's enough. Now hit finish and go back to this detail view. I am going to move it to this part, and we are going to create another reference plane in here, and we are going to use this one for keeping the door inside this gap, and then we are going to lock this door exactly between these reference planes like this. Now let's go to 3D view to see how it looks. Let's save this family and then load it into the project. I'm going to put it in this part. Let's go back because I want to add a very small detail to this upper cabinet, and for that I just need to create a very simple family, a very simple generic model. So let's go to file and create a new family in simply a generic model, this one. In ref level, I am going to create a extrusion with 1 centimeter line in this part. Let's go with 1 centimeter. Make sure it is exactly in the center. So I'm going to move it to this part, and then I am going to create a start and radius arc from this point to here like this, and then we can hit finish. Let's go to the front view, and in here I am going to create a reference plane like this, and I'm going to create a dimension for that. Let's turn it into a parameter. Just call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Lock it, and also lock this part with this base, and then we can load it into the upper cabinet family. Okay, and let's just put it in this part. Let's go to that detail that we just created, and with space you can rotate it. Now if I want to add this detail to this cabinet, I need to create a system because I don't want to just copy this for each family. I want this to be fully parametric. So for that I need some more reference planes. In this part I'm going to create a new reference plane. Let's just call it red. Change the color. If you want, you can also change the line pattern. Okay, and then I'm going to create a reference plane in this part and another one in here. I'm going to set both of these on a fixed dimension. from these reference plane. So I'm going to create a dimension. Let's set it exactly on 2 centimeter. Okay, make it a little bit smaller, much better. And now I can align this part with here and align this line with this point. I'm going to repeat that for the other side. Select it, set it exactly on 2 centimeter, and then simply lock it. Lock this one too. Before using array and copying this for all of these parts, we need to make sure that it is also locked for the height. So we can create a reference plane exactly on this part with the other color that we just created, and then we can simply lock this space, which is 15 centimeter. We can lock it, and then we can align this line with the base of this family. Next step is to bring the family that we created inside this one to the main family. So if you select this detail and go to its edit type, we want to bring this A family. Click on this part and create a new parameter. Let's just call it A again. Okay, and okay, go to this family type, and in front of this A we are going to write a formula. But how we should know what we are going to write in here? So what we want is to set this height, the height of this second family, the height of this detail, exactly to the height of this door. So for that we need to write that the height of this family overall from this part to here minus this part and this part. So this part is like 15 millimeter and this part is 5 millimeter. So since we set it exactly on this part, if we write that this h, which is the height of this cabinet overall, h minus 2 centimeter. Okay, and you need to write the unit to m, and if we apply, this part should be exactly from this part to here. Okay, now let's go to 3D view to check it again. I'm going to go to family type and I want to change this height to 60 centimeter. If I click on this part first, you can see that this part is automatically set, and if I apply, I can see that this works perfectly. Now let's go back to this ref level, and in this part we can array this detail to the other side. Select it, click on this array, and then set it on the last. Copy it exactly from this point to here. Now I'm going to use a line to lock it with this line and also to here. Make sure to lock both of them, and then if you select this, you can see that the number of these details is set on 2. We can also change this number according to the width of this cabinet. So if you select this line with this part in front of this label, you can open it and you can turn this item into a parameter. In this part, let's just call it number, and if you want, you can make it instance. Let's just use type for that. And then we are going to write a formula for that. This parameter is based on the width. So if we, for example, want to have like 10 of these details on this cabinet, we should write that this width should be divided into like 6 centimeter, I guess, and that way we will have like only 10 of these numbers. This part we should see 10. So let's just write it. I'm going to write w divided into 6 centimeter, and exactly like that we will have 10. But I don't want 10, I want to like see more, so I'm going to set it on 3. It's good, I think. Let's just apply. Okay, I think it looks good. Let's go to 3D view, and now if we go to this family type again, we can change the width to, let's say, 80 centimeter, and this number will change automatically. So this is the beauty of writing these type of formulas. So it doesn't matter what you do in here, everything will work perfectly together. Now let's save this family and then load it into the project. Since it is a wall-based family, it should be hosted on a wall, and I'm going to put it in this part. Before setting these two families in their place, I also want to create a shelf for this part, and for that I'm going to use this family. So let's go to the edit family, and in this part let me just close the unnecessary tabs. We need to go to this placement side again. I'm going to delete this door and also this handle. I want to make this part a little bit bigger, so let me just go to family type and change these dimensions. I don't need depth, I just want to change height to 1.4 and width to, let's say, 1.1, and apply. Now this is the size that I want to create my shelf, and I'm going to work on this one. So I need to create some reference planes for the shelves. I'm going to create 4 like this, and then I'm going to create some dimensions for all of them to be equal, exactly like this. Now if we change the height, for example, to, let's say, 1.6, all of these parts will work together, and we don't need to come back in here and change any size or number. Now I want to create some other reference plane to create their thickness of their base in here, in this part, and in here, one more for this part. I will set all of these parts on 2 centimeter. Now we just need to go to the ref level and create a rectangle with this extrusion and 2 centimeter offset exactly on these lines. Make sure that it is inside. Hit finish, and let's go back to this placement side. It's in here, so I'm going to move it up, and then we need to align them with all of these lines, and don't forget to lock them like this. This is for here, and we need 5 more for each of these shelves. So this is for this part, another one for here, and the last one is going to be for this part. Now let's align them and lock all of them. Perfect. Let's go to 3D view to see how it looks. It is exactly where we want it to be, and it is fully parametric, so we can use it everywhere. In this part I'm going to change the depth to 30 centimeter. Okay, height to 1.4. Perfect. And the width to 1.5, let's say. Apply, and okay. Save this family and then load it into your project. It is wall based, so I'm going to put it exactly in this part. Let's move it to this part, and I want this family to be exactly in here. So I'm going to set the width on 1.1. Let's say for now I want it to fully cover these 2 parts. However, I might change these 2 parts with a drawer. I'm not sure about that for now, but I want to set it exactly on these parts. For the depth, I want it to be a little smaller than the depth of these parts. So this part was 65. I'm going to set the depth of this one on, let's say, 50 centimeter, and the height I need to measure that first. So let's go to one of the views, the other one. Okay, it should be from this part to here, so it is 1.7, and I'm going to set it exactly on 1.7. If you want, you can change the number of these shelves according to any size that you want. I'm going to set it on this part, and also I will lock it with this side too. Now if we go back to 3D view, we can see it exactly in here. If you want, you can also create a door for that. and then we can simply set all of these cabinets too. So the size of this cabinet, let's go to edit type. The depth is going to be like 45 centimeter, or let's go with like 50 centimeter. I think it will be good. The height is going to be 45, and the width is going to be again 50 centimeter. Apply and okay. I'm going to set it exactly from this part and also from the top part like this. Let's go to the first level, and this way we can set it easily with this corner. For this corner, again, I'm going to use just simple box, and I'm not going to create any other family for that corner. We can create another one in this part. I'm going to select it and change the host to here, move them closer together like this, and now we can simply use array from this part to here. I'm going to delete the first one that we set it in this part, and I'm going to just simply align this part with here. Now that we have this distance in this part, we can use any number we want. Let's go with 5 or maybe 6. This is good, but the size, we should change the size, or we should change the number. Let's go with 5, but change the size of these parts. So select it, go to edit type, and in this part we should change the width. Let's go with 53, and I think it will be enough. Perfect. Now hit finish and repeat it for this part too. Okay, this is for the upper cabinets. I set them exactly next to each other, exactly the way I created these parts. And now we are going to set another set of cabinets below these parts. So I'm going to go to component and model in place, because we load it in this part before. I'm going to put it in here. And for the sizes, let's go to its edit type, and we don't need to change it will work automatically. For the depth, I want this to be smaller than all of these parts, so I'm going to set it on 35. For the height, I think 60 will be good, and for the width, it should be set exactly to the width of these upper cabinets in this side, and then for the other side we should change the width of this one for those parts too. So for this part, I'm going to set it on 52. However, I need to check it again. Okay, and that was the size, and then I'm going to set it exactly on these parts below these cabinets. I will use a line to this part, lock it if you want, and for the top part, I'm going to click on this part and then this part. We can go to this right view in here, and then we can simply copy this for this part and also for here. For the other side, we need to copy it like this for here, and then we need to change this host, pick new host. With that icon, we can again go to this part, and then we need to check the width of these parts too. It's set on 57 centimeter, and then we are going to set it exactly with this one. Duplicate this, because if you don't, the other set will be changed, and then set the number for its width to apply and okay. Now I can move it from this point to here, and then we can copy or array it to the end of this part. And then for the corner, we are going to use the box again. The second part is almost finished. We just need to create one more family, and you don't need to like follow, you can just skip these parts. I just want to show you how you can create it. But if you can create the family like this, the island will be nothing to create. So in file, new family, I'm going to create it as a wall floor based family, this one. And in here, I want to set it exactly in the center in this part, in here, one in this part, and another one for here. We need dimensions to set them exactly in the center, make them equal, and another one for the parameter, and repeat it for the other side too, like this. This is going to be the length. Let's make it instant so we can easily change it. This one is going to be the width. Okay, and then we can go to front view. In this part, I'm going to create a reference plane in this part with a dimension for the height. Select it and turn it into a parameter height instance. And then for controlling the thickness of this island, I'm going to create 3 more reference planes in these parts, and then dimensions for each one of them. Select all of them and then create a parameter for them. Let's just call it thickness, make it instance, and okay. Now we can go to create, use extrusion exactly on these lines like this, lock all of them, and another one in here. Make sure to lock these parts too, and then trim this one with here and this one with this part like this, and just check them one more time. Perfect. Now you can hit finish and go to this ref level. I'm going to set it exactly from this part to here, and then we can go to this 3D view. This is going to be the island that we are going to use in the project. So save it and then load it into the project. For now, let's put it in this part. The length, I think the length should be in 2.5. Okay, the height should be 95 centimeter, and the width, I think we can go with 1 meter like this. For the thickness, I want it to be on 50 centimeter like this. Okay, and let's move it to this part. Perfect. The second part is finished. Congratulations to all of you who watched this video until now. And now we are going to go to the third part, which is for setting some furniture like a sink or some chairs and things like this. I have loaded the object that I'm going to use at this part to this project, and if you want to use them, you can check Beam object site. I download some of them from that site. So before setting them in here, I want to just hide these top board. So you need to go to their edit group, and in this part we just need to check this visibility, and all of these parts that are in one group will be off, and just repeat it for the other part too. Uncheck this visibility and hit finish. Now for adding a top board in this part, I'm going to go to architecture, and to model in place we are going to use a generic model, and I am going to first set the work plane on this part on top of these parts, and then we can create an extrusion with this part and here, and then I'm going to use this line, another one in here, and then if we go to the first level, we can create an offset of, let's say, 2 centimeter, and I'm going to create it from this part and another one for here. Now we can trim all of them together. Let me move this one here, and now we can hit finish. Perfect. Let's go to 3D view. I want it to be set on exactly 3 centimeters, so I'm going to set its thickness on 3 centimeters with extrusion end. And now you can either use it like this with no curvy edge. I like it this way better, or you can just simply create a extrusion board for these parts, and then you can just simply create a curve for the edge of these parts. exactly like how we created for their top board. For adding any component or object, we need to go to Architecture tab, and we can use this Place a Component. For this one, I'm going to set it in here, and then I'm going to use this decoration in this part. Let me just bring all of them to here, and then we can move them and place them exactly where we want. And now that I have all of these families in this part, I can go to one of the views, for example to this part, and then I can move them exactly where I want, and I'm going to put them in their place. So this is for here, and we can check it from the other side, put it on wireframe, move it to its place like this. You probably need to check this from different sides, from different views. And then the other one in this part, I'm going to put it in here. This one is going to be on the cabinets, and also this one, this is going to be inside this microwave place, and this one should be on top of this part. I also want to add a chair, so I'm going to go to here, the component section, select it and put it in this part. We need to use a void for this part because this is not how a sink should look like. So you need to select it, go to Edit in Place, and then in this part we are going to create a extrusion void, this one. And then I'm going to use this pick line, and I am going to click on all of these parts like this. Check the extrusion from different views and then set it exactly in its place, and then simply hit finish. For this chair, you can either copy it or use array to set some of them next to each other and create an island perfectly like this. I think it's enough for now, but you can add any object, any family that you want to your project. And remember, as much as you add detail, as much as you work on all of these things, your project, your view will look much better. Finally, we reached to the last part. This time we are going to add some parameters and some color to this scene. I'm not going to bring this into Inkscape or add any material, but we are going to change some colors to make it look much better. I want all of these cabinets to be dark green, so I'm going to select some of them, and I can assign a color with this override element. In this part, I'm going to first select the color that I want, this one maybe. Okay, and then make sure to change the pattern, put it on this solid fill, and you can just simply hit apply, and this is the color that we set. Now for these parts, for these cabinets, and also for this top board, I want to use another color, so I'm going to select these parts. I think I want to select this one too, or maybe not. Let's go with just these two. Go to the same place, and for this part I'm going to use a color like this, and with no pattern I'm going to use this only solid fill. Okay, and okay, it looks good. For this island, I'm going to select it, and with this override by element, I'm going to use a pattern for that. So for pattern, we have a background and foreground. For background, I'm going to use a very dark brown, something like this probably. And then for the foreground, make sure to set it on solid fill. For the foreground, I'm going to use a pattern, maybe this one. And from here, I'm going to make it a little bit larger, so maybe on 3. Okay, and for its color, I'm going to use a light color, light like this, and okay, and okay. The pattern is too big, so we can go back and we can change it to, let's say, 2. I think 2 will work much better, and okay. It will probably take some time to get back to the pattern that I want. Now for this part, for this space in here, I need to create a model in place real quick with the generic model, and we are going to go to the first level. In this part, I'm going to create extrusion with this rectangle from this part to here. Okay, and I'm going to use like 5mm gap in this part, and also for here trim them together. Also trim this part and the other side. We usually don't do this, okay? This is just the trick that I want to use in this part, but we usually don't do this. Hit finish and go to 3D view. I'm going to move it up to here, and this part should be on top of this. Now hit finish, and if you select it, you can again go to override by element, and you can assign any pattern with any color you want. For its background, I'm going to use a white color like this, and then for its foreground, I'm going to use a pattern, probably this one. Make it a little bit bigger, 1.5, or let's go with just simply 2. Okay, and I'm going to also change its color to something like this, a little bit darker, and I think it's okay. Now for this floor, I want to use a model pattern and not these like drafting pattern, 2D patterns. So for that, we definitely need to be in a material setting. So select your floor, go to edit type in this part, and in here I'm going to create a new material for that. Let's just simply call it floor, and then with this part I am going to assign a background for that, maybe some light colors like this. Okay, put it on solid, and then for its foreground I'm going to go to this model section, and I am going to select this one. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and then for its color I'm going to go with something a little bit darker, maybe something like this. And okay, now we can apply and use this as our floor pattern. Let's go to this hidden element and unhide these elements. So that's all. Thank you for watching until now. Leave me in the comment section below if you liked watching this type of content or not, and I will see you soon.